Pi Kappa Alpha. 153 years have brought us to where we are today. Friendship on a firmer and more lasting basis. Being faithful and true will always be central to who we are as men, as a fraternity.
We have so much to be proud of, but yet we have so much to do over the next 2 years. Our reputation is owned by all of us. Live the values we teach and be true to yourself and be true to this fraternity.
If you're not asking yourself what else, then you're content. There's nothing compelling about content. Those kinds of people who live by tradition and don't build on it die.
But I also want to change the conversation a bit and talk about a couple of important topics. I think it's time we think a little bit differently and talk differently about what it means to be a PIKE. Now, some people ask me if fraternities will be around in 10 years or 50 years, the next 150, and my answer is you're damn right they will. You're damn right they will. But here's the deal, and I've said it for the past year and a half. We're renegotiating our existence on college campuses. We're renegotiating our relationship with universities every single day, and like any negotiation, you must have a value proposition.
Today, we must be more. We must do more. We are listening. We are ready to engage, to reimagine our purpose, to develop men to meet the demands of a diverse society. And we will meet this challenge and show what a faithful fraternity, a true brotherhood can be, to show PIKE as a vital part of a man's life, to overcome one's biggest challenges, to prepare one for success. PIKE will lead the way, a driving force for what is right and what is good on our campuses, starting today with this 2021 convention. Pi Kappa Alpha will be this fraternity.
The future cannot be predicted, but futures can be invented. It is these moments, uniquely fueled by the special fraternal brotherhood of Pi Kappa Alpha, that have driven our fraternity's success over time. What moments of greatness do you aspire to achieve in your chapters? What moments of decision and action will define the next year or two of your undergraduate life? What in your chapter needs to change for the better starting tomorrow? Brothers, if you only remember one thing from my speech tonight, please remember this. Leadership matters. Leadership always matters. Leadership in and for Pi Kappa Alpha is the single most valuable commodity that will ensure our complete rejection of hazing and our embrace of positive onboarding and continuous development programs that will motivate instead of intimidate our newest brothers. Leadership is needed.
Brothers and guests, welcome to the 2021 Pi Kappa Alpha Virtual Convention. The first virtual convention in the 153-year history of Pi Kappa Alpha. And trust me, a virtual convention sounds about as weird saying it as it does hearing it. And I wish we would have all had the opportunity to be together in Las Vegas this past summer, where I could have been sharing these remarks with you in person. Nevertheless, I know each of you can personally attest to the continued importance of Pi Kappa Alpha and the impact it has had on your life and those around you, and in many ways how the fraternity and the lifelong bonds by which it has helped to establish have aided you in getting through these trying times. I would argue the values that our fraternity teaches, friendship, love, and truth, have never been more important than they are today. Not only in the lives of our undergraduate brothers, but for our alumni, our families, our friends, and all of those whom we deem worthy of our regard. While different, today's program will highlight the successes of Pi Kappa Alpha, but also bring front and center the challenges we face today, many which have only been amplified by the global pandemic. But as PIKE's history will show, not only have we persevered through challenges of the past, We have endured. We have and will continue to evolve. And we will thrive once again, making Pi Kappa Alpha an even stronger organization than it is today. Today you will hear remarks from your outgoing president, Mark Dziatczak, reports on the state of the fraternity, and important work by many of its committees, inspiring remarks from some of Pi Kappa Alpha's individual award winners, and have the opportunity to hear from Pi Kappa Alpha's newest international president. So sit back, relax, and let's get this thing started. To start off this evening's program, I'd like to welcome Pi Kappa Alpha's international chaplain, Luke Maybry, to offer prayer.
I'm Luke Maybry. I'm the international chaplain of Pi Kappa Alpha, and I'm supposed to be leading a prayer in Las Vegas in a fraternity convention. And here I am, not in sunny Las Vegas, but I am in a cold winter's day in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's not what I had in mind for this international convention. And yet here we are, and the work of the fraternity goes on, and we have to make decisions for the future of the fraternity. And it's good to see you, or at least be seen by you, and I do stand and hope that we'll see each other again someday very soon. So, would you join me in prayer? Lord, we're thankful for this fraternity, for Pi Kappa Alpha. We're thankful that you've gathered us even in the midst of a pandemic. We're thankful that the work of the fraternity still goes on. We're thankful for the staff that's working harder than ever. Lord, we're thankful for the relationships that we still have that are still on a firm and more lasting basis. And we're thankful that those relationships are stronger than any pandemic. Lord, we're thankful for all the good memories we have in this fraternity. But mostly we're thankful that the fraternity's better days, best days, lie ahead of it. Lord, you have promised all of us a heaven. You've promised us a new beginning. You promised us an eternal life. We're not there yet. We're nowhere close to there. The world is broken. Injustice still seems to reign. People are still hurting. The world is still suffering. But Lord, what you have given us in the meantime is friendship. You've given us each other. You've given us this group, this fraternity, for which and for whom we are most grateful. Lord, bless the work of our fraternity. Bless the work of this convention. We have important decisions to make in front of us as we navigate an unknown future. Bless us in those decisions, that they may be sound decisions that further the work of this fraternity and your work in the world that you love. Lord, some of us come to you as Christians. Some of us are Jewish. Some of us are Muslim. Some of us come from other faith traditions. Some of us just don't know. But all of us are confident that you are holy, and you are sovereign, and you are gracious, and that you, O Lord, know us all together, and that you bring us together. And we are grateful. So, Lord, bless us in this convention, and keep us, and cause your face to shine upon us and upon your whole world, and give us peace. In your holy name we pray, amen.
Thank you, Luke, for those words of inspiration to get us started. I can only imagine that a man in your position who relies so heavily on helping people directly on a daily basis has had to adapt their style and methods in order to get countless people the support and encouragement they need, much like many of us in Pi Kappa Alpha have had to do. At this time, it is my honor to introduce, for the last time as your international president, Mr. Mark Dziatczak. International President Mark Dziatczak was elected as Pi Kappa Alpha's president at the 2018 International Convention, having previously served 3 terms as a vice president. He also served on the Pike University Board of Directors, including as its president and as the Great Lakes Regional President. Mark is a 1991 initiate of Delta Nu chapter at Wayne State University, and also served as an undergraduate vice president on the Supreme Council during the 1993-94 academic year. Professionally, Mark is the superintendent for the Birmingham School District in suburban Detroit and currently resides in Troy, Michigan with his wife Lisa and their 2 children. International President Mark Dziatczak.
Brothers, as I think of all the work which has occurred over the past 2 years, all of the successes and all of the challenges, I cannot help but think of the important and continuing work which lies ahead. Yet it is important at this time to take this opportunity to thank the thousands of Pi Kappa Alphas and friends of the fraternity for their tireless work on behalf of our organization since the Richmond Convention. We have faced enormous challenges while continuing progress and growth. Also, thanks to the fortitude of our undergraduate members, we continue to address this pandemic and ensure that our noble order continues its success. So to all Pikes and loyal supporters, you have my thanks. There is great urgency in this moment to ensure the flame of Pi Kappa Alpha continues to burn bright for future generations. Your outgoing Supreme Council has worked hard with Pikes from across North America to understand the exact nature of these current challenges and how we can surmount them. We know that the only force that remains constant is the push of change. As an organization, we can choose to be refugees of our tumultuous past or residents of a bold future, one filled with promise, hope, and our preferred destiny. To get there, we must keep 3 critical factors at the forefront. First, change is necessary for success. Again, change is necessary for success. Difference-making needs a rejection of the status quo. Pikes from across the land will be required to examine themselves in the mirror and determine what changes are necessary within in order to make positive changes in Pi Kappa Alpha. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus of Ephesus stated long ago that you cannot step twice into the same river. Let us chart a new path for fraternity by blazing new trails and seeking better horizons. Second, the future members of Pi Kappa Alpha are better than us. We need to find them and initiate them. We must recruit the best men that exceed our own potential. These men look different than us. They are leaders of other organizations. They may practice different faiths and come from different backgrounds. However, these men espouse the same virtues as do Pi Kappa Alphas. These relationships, forged in the purpose of our fraternity, will drive our success for future generations. Finally, we must continue to fight and defeat the dominant stereotype of our fraternal experience by rejecting hazing of any type, description, or method. Nothing is more damaging to the development of young men than the demeaning, subservient, and perverse nature of forced work and service. Our invitations into our order should be rooted in liberty and accepted in purity. Nothing is a greater threat to the health of Pi Kappa Alpha than hazing and all its false promises. For 153 years, PIKE has developed young men into men of character. But what that has meant up to now must be evaluated to meet the demands of what it means for tomorrow and the fast-changing decades to come. Pi Kappa Alpha must reflect on its core purpose as a historic and contemporary fraternity, as well as the enduring value we offer to our brothers and the broader community alike. Pi Kappa Alpha must rise in this pivotal time with issues of equality, diversity, and public health testing our resolve as brothers. This moment of reckoning demands action, and Pikes are poised to be the leaders of this positive change. While I will be passing the gavel to our next leader, I remain at the ready to do my part in helping Pi Kappa Alpha accomplish its objective in meeting the needs of tomorrow. I thank you for the privilege of serving Pi Kappa Alpha as International President. May we all do our utmost to promote the welfare of this beloved fraternity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you for everything you have done for Pi Kappa Alpha over the past 2.5 years. I know I speak for all Pi KAs when I say how much we have appreciated your leadership during these tumultuous times. You have often said that leadership matters and that one man can make a difference. And having worked closely with you over these past couple of years, I can most definitely say that your leadership has mattered and that you have made a tremendous difference. So thank you, to Lisa, and to Elena and Anthony for the service and sacrifice you have provided to our great fraternity. At this time, I would now like to transition into the announcement of this year's Order of West Range inductees. One of the more enjoyable aspects of any convention is the recognition of Pi Kappa Alpha's most successful and dedicated brothers into the Order of West Range. The Order was established in 1986 to help formally recognize alumni who have achieved significant success in their careers in service to society and/or service to our fraternity. Since inception, 154 distinguished alumni have been inducted into the Order, which has included the likes of Jeff Taylor, founder and former CEO of Monster.com, Rick Dees, TV and radio personality, Chad Holliday, former president of Bank of America, country music star Tim McGraw, and Pat Bolin, owner of the Denver Broncos, just to name a few. At this time, I would like to recognize the 2020 class of the Order of West Range. First, Admiral James A. Winnefeld, a 1975 initiate of Alpha Delta chapter at Georgia Tech. Brother Sandy Winnefeld is a retired U.S. Navy admiral who served as the 9th Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff from August 4th, 2011 to July 31st, 2015. Second, Eric Winston, a 2003 initiate of the Gamma Omega chapter at the University of Miami, who served as the president of the NFL Players Association from 2014 to 2020. Third, Brother Keith Ketchman, a 1974 initiate of the Alpha Eta chapter at the University of Florida, and as a volunteer record of serving Pi Kappa Alpha for over 40 years in numerous capacities, including most recently as a foundation trustee from 2002 to 2016. And finally, Mr. Robert Jackson, a 1982 initiate of Epsilon Lambda chapter at Murray State University, who currently serves as the president of Murray State University. Now, Pi Kappa Alpha is currently working to arrange for all of these men to join us in person this next summer for the 2021 Pike University Academy, so you can have the opportunity to hear from them directly. However, at this time, we are honored to have one of our recipients, Brother Bob Jackson, who is going to share just a few remarks with us. President Jackson.
Justin, thank you, and many thanks to our national staff for all that they do for our fraternity. Brothers of Pi Kappa Alpha, thank you for allowing me to provide a few words of reflection at this important event. First, I want to thank all of you for what you do for Pi Kappa Alpha. I especially want to thank our undergraduate members for your leadership and your support and for what you mean to the future of our fraternity. As a university president, I get to see the dedication and commitment of your generation at work each day. And I can safely say we're in very good hands regarding our future. I want to give a special shout out to my brothers at Epsilon Lambda. This chapter is very important to me as it provided the opportunity many years ago to learn about brotherhood, making a difference in life, and the importance of leadership. And most importantly, it's where I met my wife. My fellow inductees in the Order of West Range, Admiral James Sandy Winnefeld Jr., Eric Winston, and Keith Ketchum would tell you similar things, I'm sure. And congratulations to these distinguished men for their lifetime of service. This past year was one for the history books. It was a year which will be permanently embedded in all of our memories. We were forced to quickly learn about a new deadly disease, the need for face masks, viral testing, the importance of washing our hands and taking our temperature. We learned about social distancing, quarantine, and isolation, and that Zoom was not only a measure of speed, but a new communications and teaching tool. We saw tremendous social unrest and a financial crisis. This past year left an indelible mark on all of us. Importantly, this past year reminded us of many key things in life too, positive things, regarding the significance of medical science, the importance of our brothers, friends, and family, and the inherent good of people. During 2020, we saw the resilience of our chapters, the perseverance of our fraternity, the creativity of our colleges and universities, and the strength and determination of our fellow man. Admiral Bill McRaven spoke on our campus last year. He has a quote in one of his books which has become one of my favorite quotes now. He said, "We will all find ourselves neck deep in mud someday. This is the time to sing loudly, to smile broadly, to lift up those around you and give them hope that tomorrow will be a better day." This past year made us better, stronger, and more prepared. It has not been easy and the pandemic is not over, but we can see light ahead. As the old adage teaches us, this too shall pass. And I fully expect 2021 to bring us renewed hope and a better sense of normalcy. As we learn from the stress and disruption of this past year, this is your opportunity to change the world. This is your opportunity to make a difference. This is your opportunity to be a better leader. The next generation belongs to you, and as you look back at your life in 25 or 50 years, know that you left the world just a little bit better than you found it. In the meantime, I applaud each of you for your commitment to Pi Kappa Alpha and to your brothers. Be strong, be patient, take care of yourself and your brothers, and make good choices. Thank you again for this opportunity. Be grateful for this wonderful fraternity and for all that it has to offer. And Godspeed to each of you.
Congratulations again, Dr. Jackson, on your well-deserved induction into the Order of West Range, and for those well-timed and important words to PIKE brothers everywhere. At this time, it is my duty to provide this year's State of the Fraternity report. It is a great day to be a Pike. Those that have heard me speak before know that I often start my remarks with those very words, and today, those words remain as true as ever. Of course, there have been a lot of challenging days over the past year, challenging for everyone, both within and beyond Pi Kappa Alpha, all around the world. But better days do lie ahead, if we choose to make them so. If we continue to be resilient, only we can make that choice, however. For as past International President H. King Buttermore shared with me many years ago, leadership is a choice. We can choose to make tomorrow's PIKE even better than before, for I believe that the need for fraternities, the need for good fraternities, the need for Pi Kappa Alpha is more relevant today than perhaps at any time in our history. As I think back over the past 18 months, there seems to have been three very distinct periods of time. The fall of 2019 saw Pi Kappa Alpha well positioned to address many of the challenges which it had faced in recent years. Members' engagement and participation in Pike University events had achieved their highest levels in the past 5 years. Engagement through the Pike social media channels had reached all-time highs, and stories of positive chapter and member experiences could be found aplenty. New chapter facilities were being renovated or acquired for Pi Kappa Alpha at Texas, Utah, and Kansas, among others. The fraternity had launched U Lifeline to provide much-needed mental health assistance to its members. The fraternity industry, after a 3-year legal battle, saw Harvard reverse its discriminatory policy against single-sex organizations. The next 6 months, however, as a result of the pandemic, saw a time of adjustment, uncertainty, and change. Many of us got to go home from school for what we at first thought was an extended spring break. We got introduced to the Tiger King and terms such as social distancing, which, let's face it, for a fraternity, doesn't really come all that natural. Now, as we have settled into the last 6 months, much of what we have grown accustomed to, graduations, recruitment, college football, going to class, going to work, heck, going just about anywhere, along with countless other aspects of daily life have changed, not just for the short term, but in many ways, forever. Now, as of today, Pi Kappa Alpha stands at over 305,000 lifetime initiates with 230,000 living alumni, 212 chapters and provisional chapters, almost 16,000 undergraduate brothers, 190 alumni advisory boards, 149 alumni associations, and over 2,500 local alumni volunteers. Last year, over $2 million raised for charity and over 250,000 hours of community service. Pi Kappa Alpha maintains the most new members per chapter of any fraternity in North America, and the third most initiates per chapter of any fraternity. Now, while those data points are nice to note, as you'll hear, there is significant cause for concern, not just for PIKE, but for all fraternities. The current number of PIKE chapters is the fewest we've had since 1996, 25 years ago. Our overall initiations from the past year are the fewest we've had in over a decade. While the pandemic has brought some issues into greater focus, these are also the result of broader issues, many self-inflicted. Of note, 39 chapters have been closed over the past 5 years, a high watermark for any 5-year period in our history. Both total undergraduate membership and total initiations have been on a decline for 6+ years. And this goes beyond Pi Kappa Alpha as well. In the past 5 years alone, there are 310 total fewer fraternity chapters, having lost one every 6 days during that time period. Almost 35,000 fewer men in fraternities and 25,000 fewer men being initiated into fraternities, almost 25% less on an annual basis. And all of this was prior to July 2020. Then 2020 added another variable, one we hadn't seen in almost 100 years, a global pandemic. After assessing matters, the Supreme Council and International Fraternity took a series of actions to attempt to mitigate the impact of COVID-19, which included making the difficult decision to postpone the 2020 convention, engaging with industry leaders through an NIC COVID-19 think tank, development of the COVID-19 PIKE plan, which included maintaining weekly, if not daily, contact with chapters and host institutions, passing along the latest CDC guidance with opportunities for chapters to procure PPE and safety supplies, providing best-in-class virtual resources and a COVID-19 specific website, everything from recruitment and the continued utilization of Chapter Builder to new member education, providing Zoom accounts to chapters for meetings and ritual ceremonies, flexible financial planning, an enhanced focus on mental health resources, conversion of fall leadership summits to a virtual format, investment in diversity and inclusion resources and education, alumni mentorship and networking, and realizing the need for greater online education in the future, increased investment in the true PIKE experience. Many of these resources and others remain available today. Now, on a chapter front, we saw responses to the pandemic fall into two camps, one of perseverance, resiliency, and adaptation, and another of delay, denial, and avoidance. I probably don't need to tell you which one has worked out better. And of course, we are all still right in the thick of this thing. For those that elected the denial and avoidance strategy, whether it was waiting till spring for the pandemic to pass, it's still here, denying that change is necessary to exist, or the outright abdication of leadership or responsibility, there will be further losses realized, unfortunately. It is likely that the pandemic will ultimately claim an additional 8 to 12 chapters before this year is complete, on top of the 39 lost in the past 5, many of which had substantial operational deficiencies which have only been exacerbated during this crisis. However, for those which elected perseverance, resiliency, and adaptation, the stories are quite remarkable. As I shared with PIKE staff and volunteers, it would take a calm, confident, and competitive mindset not just to survive, but succeed through these times. And PIKE's best and brightest have risen to that occasion. On a recruitment front, 14 chapters set all-time recruitment records amidst the COVID-19 pandemic by embracing true one-on-one, in-person recruitment strategies. Kansas State University hosted a virtual house tour, which enabled them to show off their property to potential new members in a creative and safe way, a strategy they will continue to use into the future. Epsilon Gamma chapter, historically constrained by an antiquated formal recruitment format at Texas Tech University, hosted their first ever informal recruitment this fall. The chapter found great success through this structure and extended 54 bids. The Pi Kappa Alpha Provisional Chapter at Northwest Missouri State University recruited 26 men this fall, tripling its membership size. In the area of service, men from several chapters, Lamar, Monroe, LSU, UL Lafayette, McNeese, and Northwestern State, worked throughout September in several ways to clear debris, provide meals, and help clean up their communities following Hurricane Laura. In giving, the men of Zeta Sigma chapter at FIT were able to raise $85,000 for the American Cancer Society. The chapter volunteered their time and efforts to not only raise money for the cause, but also assist ACS with hosting the virtual event, which took place this fall. The men of Omega chapter at Kentucky raised over $20,000 at their annual Paint Wars philanthropy event. This event benefits a local advocacy agency for survivors of domestic violence. The men of Kappa Pi chapter at South Dakota were honored with the Outstanding Youth in Philanthropy Award from the Association of Fundraising Professionals. They are the first college organization to be recognized, and over the past 5 academic years have raised $200,000 with more than 80,000 service hours. And our men at Duke raised over $70,000 hosting their 5th annual Shave and Buzz philanthropy event, honoring brothers Bobby Menges and Mark Schreiber. This year was the first year the chapter had to host the event virtually and succeeded. In initiations this fall, our chapters virtually initiated and installed chapters at Delaware, Jacksonville State, Clemson, and Florida Atlantic. And numerous other chapters converted to virtual initiations, including the Gamma Xi chapter at Washington State University. This year also saw the value of fraternity and triumph through tragedy. When alumnus Bill Pavey of Indiana University Southeast passed away, the men of the Theta Kappa Alumni Association stepped in to honor his memory. Following Bill's 5-year battle with cancer, the home he shared with his wife was in need of repairs, and Bill's Pi Kappa Alpha brothers have spent almost 700 hours renovating his home. When LSU undergraduate Andre Navarre tragically passed away this fall, the men of Alpha Gamma chapter stepped in to honor him. The chapter was able to raise funds to help Andre's family with funeral costs, and over 150 Pikes attended the ceremony. And following the tragic passing of Kyle Ward, University of Central Oklahoma brothers stepped in to honor his memory. The chapter started a GoFundMe to raise over $18,000 to assist Kyle's family with funeral costs, as well as provide support to numerous charities. Perseverance, resiliency, and adaptation. Calm, confident, and competitive. Friendship, love, and truth. Pi Kappa Alpha. Now, before the pandemic, realizing many of our current challenges, Pi Kappa Alpha engaged with a strategy firm to help us listen and learn to better understand our current reality. For years, we've heard various stakeholders, including our own alumni, question how we could use our collective and individual power and influence for the greater good. Over the past several years, we have been actively listening, even to the things that were difficult and painful to hear, and are committed to continued, intentional self-analysis and assessment. What we have learned to date through the largest ever assessment of Pi Kappa Alpha members and stakeholders was eye-opening. It noted that across every constituency group in the PIKE life cycle, we are losing relevance. Less than a quarter of high school boys would consider rushing PIKE, much less any fraternity. Generation Z, our current and future membership base, is the most racially and ethnically diverse generation in history, yet we have work to do to evolve our fraternity effectively to better engage them. Less than half of Greek women on campuses today, our sorority counterparts, believe that fraternity men respect women. And after graduation, we are not delivering on once a PIKE, always a PIKE. Our alumni volunteer rate is 2.4%, and our alumni giving rate is 1.4%. Beyond the numbers, we heard our own voices loud and clear. At times, we've missed opportunities to give back to our campuses and communities, and we've lagged in taking a leadership position around the cultural issues of our time. The pandemic has forced us to bring all of this into focus, a reimagining of Pi Kappa Alpha's purpose, our why. There is no going back to what fraternity life was like before COVID, but there is definitely a going forward. Video calls and virtual recruitment will only add to an already successful recruitment strategy. A robust virtual True PIKE experience to track and enhance the in-person one. alumni engagement, realizing how effective it can be in ways that a pandemic forced us to implement quickly. And I think we've all learned what is really important in member and new member education, bringing high-quality people into our chapter to ensure not just its survival, but its evolution and development, learning the values of fraternity history and operations throughout one's entire fraternal career. Not all the stupid nonsense, the hazing, which provides no value, makes some weak and insecure members feel artificially important and leads to shuttered chapters. Right now, on college campuses throughout North America, young men are finding little to do and struggling to make friends. There is well-documented data of amplified loneliness. Dropout rates are at an all-time high. The best virtual activities, online classes, and support resources don't overcome Zoom's fatigue. Young men are quite frankly longing for a real college experience. Colleges and fraternities alike know that the outside the classroom experience and belonging is one of the best predictors of student retention. To me, all of this speaks to the need for good fraternities. Right now, starting in 2021, the need for Pi Kappa Alpha. And Pi Kappa Alpha will step up to meet this challenge and fill this need. A men's organization with a renewed sense of purpose, one focused on enhancing the lives of every single one of its members. One centered on elevating your life's ambitions, whatever they may be. One set on being accountable to oneself and ensuring the same of those around you. And one which prepares young men for the diverse and inclusive world of today. It is indeed a great day to be a Pike, and in 2021 and beyond, we will set out to show the world why. Now at this time, I will turn things over to Chairman Jeff Rohwer to deliver the report on behalf of the Education and Recruitment Advisors.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jeff Rohwer, and I serve as Chair of the Educational and Recruitment Advisors. At this time, I would like to recognize our other Education and Recruitment Advisors, alumnus members Dr. Brandon Fry, Devang Desai, Brandon Barnhill, and Jim Yulch. Educational and Recruitment Advisors advance the mission of the Pi Kappa Alpha International Fraternity by developing and providing educational programs aimed at fostering leadership, management, and personal development skills to prepare our members for success. Pi Kappa Alpha's cutting-edge programs and initiatives provide the premier leadership development in the fraternal space, and our members who participate in these programs can market themselves both personally and professionally ahead of their peers. Pi Kappa Alpha's leadership programming offered through Pike University had more than 3,000 undergraduates and volunteers from 199 chapters and colonies participating in at least one event during the 2019 to 2020 academic year. Pike University hosted 10 events throughout the United States, including 8 regional leadership summits, which averaged over 200 student attendees, the largest of which exceeded 400 attendees. In Memphis, Tennessee, we also hosted the Chapter Executives Conference and the Academy, both of which drew over 500 student attendees, making them our largest programs in the past 5 years. These numbers push total attendance since Pike University's inception to over 47,000 attendees, with over 5,000 of those men attaining their Garnet certification and over 1,700 attaining Gold certification. While we delivered in-person events last academic year, this year the pandemic changed everything. We listened and partnered with our student members to adapt our programming for online engagement at virtual leadership summits, which helped us keep as many brothers and staff as safe as possible, while drastically reducing the financial burden for our brothers and maintaining the quality of the Pike University certification. We're off to a great start and will continue to solicit student feedback to refine and improve our offerings for our upcoming spring leadership summits. We are proud of these accomplishments, but we know it is simply not enough, with only 25% of undergraduate members having experienced programming at a Pike University event. That is why the Educational and Recruitment Advisors worked with students and chapters to develop the true Pike experience for chapter leaders to bring Pike University programming to their campus for the rest of the chapters. If you will recall from the 2018 International Convention, we were charged by student delegates to roll out the True PIKE experience to the majority of chapters. We are happy to report that the chapter leaders have helped us reach over 90% of our chapters, with 192 chapters and colonies formally onboarded to the True PIKE experience through either one of 25 workshops or 75 plus implementation visits. This has put Pike University in an exciting position to help students and chapters enhance their fraternity experience even more, with some exciting developments that will be tested and rolled out later this year. For that, we thank each and every student and alumnus for the opportunity to serve this great fraternity. Much of the success seen in our events has only been possible due to the support of the volunteers and professionals who serve as facilitators and presenters. A very special thank you is extended to all alumni who have served as faculty over the past year and have made a positive impact on the lives of Pi Kappa Alpha members. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I now turn it over to John Silberstein, Chair of the Risk Awareness Advisors.
Thank you, Jeff, for the introduction. As Jeff mentioned, I'm John Silberstein, and it is my honor to serve all of you and the fraternity as Chairman of the International Risk Awareness Advisors. Before I provide a brief report, I would be remiss if I didn't recognize the rest of the Risk Awareness Advisors, without whom we couldn't do what we do for the fraternity. They are Tom Eubler, Tom Olson, Mike Riley, and Steve Heck. Your Risk Awareness Advisors provide counsel to the fraternity and other related entities. We focus our energies on raising the awareness of our undergraduate members about the unique risks associated with college student life. We actively seek out opportunities to help fund education on the topic of health and safety through Pike University. We also help facilitate the group property insurance program and liability protection program for the benefit of the fraternity, its chapters, officers, and alumni advisors. I'll take a moment to highlight these programs. The intent of the property insurance program is to make robust property insurance available through reputable insurers to protect the real assets of participating house corporations. Our focus is to provide a program with adequate coverage, with stable premiums, while ensuring that financial support is available to participating house corporations when they need it the most. We are particularly proud of our liability protection program, which historically has a lower average cost per member than any other fraternity. As your risk awareness advisors, we do whatever we can to help control the expenses of this program and identify additional funding opportunities outside of the annual assessments. As leaders of your chapters and alumni associations, it is imperative that you do your part to help limit the frequency and severity of financial losses from liability claims. The cost of administering the LPP program typically approaches $2 million per year. These expenses include insurance premiums as well as claims expenses and legal fees. As all of you know, the environment in which we operate is growing increasingly challenging and litigious. Moreover, the average cost of defending a claim, any claim, has increased substantially. In addition to increasing costs, for the first time in our history, it was necessary to defend the international fraternity against a criminal complaint as a result of a few misguided former members. Unfortunately, these external forces are not trends we expect to reverse, and we anticipate they will continue to adversely impact expenses and have the potential to increase the funding necessary for these programs in the future. Therefore, it is incumbent on each and every one of us to abide by the fraternity standards to help prevent future occurrences and the resulting costly claims and lawsuits. Your risk awareness advisors will continue to focus on education and seek out opportunities to provide insight to the fraternity's leadership and general membership on these important matters. On behalf of my fellow risk awareness advisors, I can assure you that we will continue to administer these critical programs for the fraternity with the same diligence that has allowed us to enjoy unparalleled success and stability for these many years, even amidst the challenging circumstances we are currently encountering. It is my honor to continue to serve in this capacity, and I now yield the floor to past international president and current real estate advisor, John Michael Williams.
Thank you, Brother Silberstein. It is my pleasure to provide this report of the activities of the International Real Estate Advisors, and would like to start off by acknowledging my fellow advisors. Anthony Abajar from East Carolina University Epsilon Mu Chapter, Scott Bell from the University of Central Florida, Eta Phi, Chris Ward from Arizona State University, Delta Tau Chapter, and Charles Harris from Rhodes College, Old Theta Chapter. The mission of the real estate operation within Pi Kappa Alpha is to achieve and maintain competitive housing for our chapters on campuses where Greek housing is a competitive factor. We do this primarily by assisting chapters and house corporations in acquiring and effectively managing real estate. About 63% of active chapters of Pi Kappa Alpha occupy some form of officially recognized housing. Approximately 25% of chapters are on campuses where housing is not a competitive factor. But 84 locations valued at roughly $160 million are owned by an entity affiliated with Pi Kappa Alpha. I'm pleased to report the following accomplishments since the last convention. Chapters regularly participate in International Workday as a means to improve their real estate. In years not marred by COVID-19, an average of more than 100 chapters annually host an International Workday event, investing hundreds of thousands of dollars and countless man-hours in projects to improve the quality of their housing. More than $800,000 in real estate loans were granted by the real estate affiliate to benefit Pi Kappa Alpha housing. In collaboration with the Pi Kappa Alpha Foundation and its Educational Facilities Grant Program, nearly $625,000 of tax-deductible donations were received and $1.4 million was dispersed in the form of educational grants for chapter housing projects. Anyone that has been part of a housing corporation or a real estate endeavor knows that people are the driving force behind any major project or accomplishment. To this end, I would be remiss if I didn't recognize Dan Cora, who recently retired as Chief Executive Real Estate Officer after more than 34 years in service to Pi Kappa Alpha. Dan's impact on our fraternity is beyond measure. Effective immediately, the best housing within Pi Kappa Alpha will be recognized with the Daniel W. Cora Chapter House of the Year Award, thus memorializing Dan's incredible contribution to Pi Kappa Alpha housing for generations to come. Many of you will also remember that at Memphis Leadership Conferences, Dan was an advocate of gold bond powder as a way of staying cool and comfortable in the August heat. And many an undergraduate who have gone on to great deeds as alumni have benefited from his recommendation. So, in summary, keeping up with the physical needs of the fraternity and its real estate and the demands of the student housing market, we must view this as an ongoing duty for our chapters and our housing corporations. Developing a long-term plan and establishing the reserves to enable meaningful real estate projects is a basic principle of proper real estate management. A facility graced with the letters of Pi Kappa Alpha is a reflection on all pikes, everywhere. I commend each chapter and housing corporation for their efforts to ensure their facility is in fact an enhancement of the Pi Kappa Alpha brand. As your real estate advisors, we will continue to work to help PIKE chapters and housing corporations carry out our shared mission of achieving and retaining competitive housing in an effort to elevate the name of Pi Kappa Alpha everywhere.
Thank you, Brother Williams, for that real estate report, and to all of our committees for their work on behalf of Pi Kappa Alpha. At this time, I would like to turn things over to a 1971 initiate of Epsilon chapter at Virginia Tech, Pi Kappa Alpha Foundation past president and current trustee Tom Tiller to introduce the 2020 Robertson Most Outstanding Undergraduate for Pi Kappa Alpha.
I'm pleased to be with you tonight as part of this virtual convention. I represent our Pike Foundation and join you to recognize a very special brother. We all agree that there are many outstanding leaders in our fraternity nationally. Some are Pike alumni, but also many are undergrads in our chapters. And perhaps these challenging times caused by a pandemic underscore the importance of pausing to recognize and appreciate leadership and resilience. We're fortunate to have examples in leaders like International President Mark Dziatczak and our Executive VP Justin Buck. Both have pivoted a number of times over the past year to alter traditional programs and adapt to online platforms in place of in-person gatherings, and this convention is one example. Over half a century ago, our fraternity created an award to honor the most outstanding undergraduate each year who represents the kind of leadership that is a hallmark in Pike. 20 years ago, the award was named in honor of the late Jinx Robertson, who was a chapter advisor and supreme example of how a dedicated mentor can change lives. Robertson was advisor to my chapter at Epsilon for 20 years, and thanks to the generosity of alumni following his death, an endowment was created in the Pike Foundation to recognize annually the most outstanding undergrad nominated nationally. Now, a few months since he graduated, I'm pleased to recognize our Robertson Undergraduate Award winner and tell you a little about him. Then you'll meet him and hear how Pike has influenced his life and inspired both leadership and service. Matt King from Gamma Upsilon at the University of Tulsa is the 2020 Robertson Outstanding Undergraduate. Matt packed a great deal into his years in Pike and at Tulsa while maintaining a perfect 4.0 in computer information systems, minoring in computer science and cybersecurity. He has a long and impressive resume and already was profiled in the recent Shield and Diamond magazine, so I'll only highlight examples of Matt's achievements and leadership that earned him this recognition. In the Greek system, Matt was president of his chapter and earlier treasurer, secretary, and member at large. Also, president of Order of Omega and voted IFC Outstanding Leader in 2019. He attended our chapter executives conference 3 different years and also 2 Pike summits. Honoraries included mortarboard and 3 other societies. Academic honors included graduating summa cum laude, an outstanding scholar in the College of Business, and a Tulsa Presidential Scholar. Service activities included leadership in Tulsa United Way, Big Brothers and Big Sisters, True Blue Neighbors, Food Bank of Eastern Oklahoma, and a student trainer for bringing in the bystander. When Matt's university cut its golf team, he became founding member and VP of the Tulsa Club golf team. It is evident that Matt spread himself across many activities and leadership roles while maintaining scholastic excellence, and currently he's employed by True Digital Security in Omaha, Nebraska, and he has an upcoming wedding in March. Matt, it is with tremendous gratitude for all your accomplishments, bringing pride to our brothers at Tulsa and all of us in the Pike Nation, that I congratulate you and acknowledge a $2,500 scholarship already awarded from our Robertson Award Endowment. Best wishes in your career and for your approaching marriage. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Tiller. I'd like to first extend a huge thanks to the Robertson Award Selection Committee, the Pike Foundation Board of Trustees, and International Fraternity staff. In addition, I would like to thank my brothers at Gamma Upsilon chapter at the University of Tulsa, as well as advisors Bill Vogel, David Zentafer, and Brad White. My story is one of the many that you've shaped through your commitment to the fraternity. This award recognizes individual achievement, but more importantly, it highlights one of many examples where this fraternity has developed young men. It is an incredible honor to win this award, and I am excited to share with you some thoughts today. I'm going to take this time to talk about what I believe to be the most important and valuable aspect of this fraternity, and that is the relationships that stem from brotherhood. As Pikes, we are scholars, leaders, we are athletes, and gentlemen. We often try to measure those things, whether it be by GPA or intramural championship count. But first and foremost, we are brothers. I believe that it is the chapters that are filled with guys who truly care about each other that have the most success. I know I can only speak to my own experience, but I would not be anywhere near where I am today without a group full of guys who were not only there to encourage me when things were going well, but also support me when they weren't. Brothers challenge each other. Brothers fight when a fight is needed and celebrate when celebration is needed. It is hard enough to navigate college under normal circumstances, let alone when the very definition of normal is flipped on its head. We need to make sure we are taking care of each other. So reach out to a brother. Do it today. Have it be the first one that pops into your head. Don't do it because it was mentioned in a speech. Do it because you care about them. It can be as little as a text saying you're there for them if they ever need you. It might not seem like much to you now, and maybe not even to them at the time, but I promise you that for one of your brothers out there, and maybe even you one day, there will be a moment when knowing you have that support means everything. You won't soon forget your intramural championships. You'll remember for quite some time when your chapter designation flashed upon the screen as a Smythe winning chapter. But more important than the memories you've made are the relationships you'll continue to cultivate that are made possible by this fraternity. This isn't one of those things that I mentioned earlier that is easy to measure. In fact, brotherhood can be hard to describe at times, but I believe it is the most important piece of this fraternity. It may look different from guy to guy or chapter to chapter, but peel back a couple of layers, and at the core, you have a commitment to make yourself the best brother you can be. Do this and be a part of what makes Pi Kappa Alpha truly a cut above the rest. Thank you.
Congratulations, Matt. Truly a model for all PIKE undergraduates to emulate. In fact, a model for all PIKEAs. Now, before we head to our final portion of the program, the announcement of your new Supreme Council and remarks from your new International President, there are just a few announcements I would like to make. First, please be sure to check the Pike University website in the coming days, as there will be more information on the Spring Pike University Leadership Summits. These events are open to all PIKEAs and have some very relevant and timely leadership and developmental programs. The registration is nominal, and for those chapters interested in awards this year, attendance at Pike University, regardless of the format, remains an expectation. Second, I have to give a shout out to Brother Mike Hopkins from our University of Illinois Beta Eta chapter and our 2018 Distinguished Achievement Award recipient, who is presently aboard the International Space Station. His Crew 1 mission marks the first ever crew rotation flight of a U.S. commercial spacecraft with astronauts on board, and I know many of us watched with great intrigue the night of his launch. Please be sure to follow him along his journey at @astro_Illini. Third, while many of you had the opportunity to watch our virtual awards programs this past summer, and which can still be viewed via the Pike YouTube channel, it wouldn't be a convention without at least mentioning our 2020 Smythe Award recipients. So once again, congratulations to the chapters at the following institutions: Indiana State University, University of Louisiana Lafayette, University of Cincinnati, University of Nebraska Omaha, Northern Kentucky University, University of South Dakota, the Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology, University of Nebraska, Murray State University, University of Alabama Huntsville, University of Central Oklahoma, Missouri State University, the University of Alberta, Texas A&M University, the Eta Omicron Chapter, University of Central Arkansas, University of Toledo, Florida State University, and Missouri University of Science and Technology. An impressive group of chapters with an even more impressive list of accomplishments. Additional information will be available this spring on our 2021 award applications. And finally, I would like to take a point of personal privilege to recognize the retirement after 35 years of one of the most outstanding PIKEAs you will ever meet, Chief Real Estate Officer Dan Cora. While many of you have likely seen the press release or read the recent article in the Shield and Diamond, and his remarkable list of contributions to not only Pi Kappa Alpha, but the broader Greek industry. There is one more honor we would like to bestow upon Dan that is being announced today, publicly, for the first time. Beginning this year, in 2021, Pi Kappa Alpha's Chapter House of the Year Award will forever be known as the Pi Kappa Alpha Daniel W. Cora Chapter House of the Year. The fraternity leadership, along with the White Horse Holding Corporation, has determined this would be the most fitting way to honor a man who has made it his life's work to positively impact the places which many PIKEs have called home. In addition, this award comes with a $2,000 scholarship to receiving chapter, which thanks to a small group of loyal brothers has been perpetually endowed. A special thank you to all those who contributed to this effort, and again, to Dan Cora for your leadership, your service to Pi Kappa Alpha, and your friendship. At this time, it is my honor to introduce the chairman of this year's nominating committee, a 1983 initiate of Epsilon Psi chapter at Western Michigan, past international president Kevin Verda. Kevin, along with his committee, has dedicated countless hours on evenings and weekends via Zoom over the past several months, meeting with PIKEs to help understand the needs of our organization and identify the men who will help lead us into the future. Kevin and men, thank you on behalf of all PIKEs on the tremendous service you have provided. At this time, I will turn things over to Mr. Verda. Kevin.
Thank you, Justin. Brothers, it's been an honor for me to serve as the chairman of the nominating committee for this rather unconventional convention. I've been fortunate to serve with 4 outstanding Pikes who made what could have been a very difficult process a smooth and enjoyable one. These men are Carson Zupke of Kappa Pi chapter at the University of South Dakota, Mike D'Annunzio of Alpha Upsilon chapter at NYU, Charles Harris from Theta chapter at Rhodes College, and Casey Phillips of Theta Omicron chapter at Indiana State University. I want to recognize and thank these men for their dedication to PIKE and to this nominating committee. They are each a credit to PIKE, and I am fortunate to have shared this experience with them. Our committee began with a mission to identify the best candidates to lead Pi Kappa Alpha over the next 2 years. We take the trust placed in us quite seriously, regardless of the challenging circumstances of conducting everything remotely. So we set out with a plan to interview as many candidates as possible over the course of 3.5 weeks, divided into a series of evening and weekend sessions, including one all-day Friday meeting marathon. Overall, we conducted just shy of 30 hours worth of meetings over Zoom, almost 4 full workdays in front of the screen, while maintaining roles like employee, student, husband, father, and even grandfather. While the hours seem large in retrospect, as they were occurring, the time flew by because we had the opportunity to talk to so many outstanding men. Men we wish we could have seen in person this past summer. But I know one thing for sure now. In times like these, hours engaged in conversation with PIKE alumni is a wonderful elixir for the soul. Through this process, we learned about the highest priorities of Pi Kappa Alpha, and we believe we have come up with a slate that will best serve our fraternity as we move forward. And so without further delay, I'll turn this over to Carson Zupke, who will place the first name in nomination for Supreme Council Vice President. Carson?
My name is Carson Zupke. I'm a 2018 initiate of Kappa Pi chapter at the University of South Dakota. Now I know this isn't the year that any of us expected, but I'm humbled to see how our brothers have rallied in the face of uncertainty. And like Kevin shared, and as a member of the nominating committee, we are proud to forward the nomination of 5 outstanding men to serve our fraternity for the next 2 years. It's my honor to introduce Larry Eby, a 1988 initiate of Epsilon Iota, as an international vice president to the Supreme Council. Larry epitomizes what it means to be a dedicated fraternity man, husband, and father. Larry and his wife Lauren reside in Sikeston, Missouri, and are the parents of 2 daughters. Larry has remained an active volunteer with the fraternity, most recently serving as Heartland Regional President before his nomination to the Supreme Council in 2018. Larry brings strong operational experience to the Supreme Council as a co-founder and the Chief Operating Officer of VAST Broadband, a leader in telecommunications in the Midwest. Larry, I'm proud to call you brother, and I'm more proud to forward your nomination as a member of the Supreme Council today. Now it's my honor to introduce Mike D'Annunzio, a 2001 initiate of Alpha Upsilon, to introduce our next candidate.
Thank you, Carson. It is my pleasure to place into nomination for Vice President on the Supreme Council my friend and brother, Matthew Greco. Matt is the 2003 initiate of the Theta Psi chapter at Chapman University. His PIKE resume is long and esteemed. He served his undergraduate chapter in various capacities, including SMC, and served as undergraduate international vice president on the Supreme Council from 2004 to 2005. I served with him side by side in this role, and so I have seen firsthand his ability to have an impact on the Supreme Council, even at a young age. Upon graduation, he joined the professional staff as chapter consultant, went on to volunteer on the Chapman Alumni Advisory Board, and held the position of chapter advisor for 5 years before being appointed as Golden West Regional President in 2014, a position he has held to this day. He understands our fraternity extremely well, and his charisma and passion make him extremely relatable to our undergraduate men. His professional resume is equally as impressive and varied as his fraternity one. Matt is currently a principal with Serve First Solutions Incorporated, a payment solutions firm based in Orange County, California, specializing in the processing of debit and credit card transactions for small to mid-market businesses. Matt's firm is responsible for nearly $2 billion in electronic transactions annually, which span across all 50 U.S. states. Over the last several years, Serve First has been recognized locally by the Orange County Business Journal and nationally by Inc. 5000 magazine as one of the fastest growing private companies in Orange County and the U.S. In addition to his involvement at Serve First, Matt has become a managing member of Golden West Tire Centers, an investment and management company focused on acquiring and developing full-service tire service and auto repair facilities with 16 locations in California. Matt is also very active in his community through several philanthropic and social associations, namely Miracles for Kids and the Chapman University Alumni Association. Matt also currently sits on the Orange County Board of Gen Next and is a founding member of the Chapman 50. He and his wife, Deja, currently live in Newport Beach, California, along with their son, Elijah. Men, in this candidate, our fraternity is getting a dedicated, values-based servant leader whose honesty, open-mindedness, and fresh perspective will be a great asset to the Supreme Council as they drive the course of our fraternity at a very critical juncture in its history. It is an absolute honor to place Matthew Greco into nomination for Vice President on the 2020 to 2022 Supreme Council. I'll now turn it over to Charles Harris to nominate our next candidate for Vice President.
Thank you, Brother D'Annunzio. Brothers, I have the honor of placing into nomination for International Vice President, Brother John Mang. He was a 1984 initiate of Alpha Xi chapter at the University of Cincinnati. In 1988, as SMC, he led the chapter to its first Smythe Award in 19 years, which was followed by Smythes in 1989 and 1990. Brother Mang is a globally experienced consumer products executive and marketer. He is currently a senior partner with the C-Suite Consulting Partners Group, a global multifunctional firm that helps clients anticipate and lead change, build brands, and strengthen leadership. Previously, he spent 30 years at the Procter & Gamble Company, where he retired as Chief Marketing Officer of P&G's health and grooming businesses. He spent 6 years leading the company's business in Japan, where under his direction, P&G became a market leader in the laundry and fabric enhancers division and achieved sales of $1 billion for the first time in history. Brother Mang returned to the United States to serve as Senior Vice President of Gillette and President of the Art of Shaving. In these roles, he was a leader of successful change, creating the first total Gillette brand portfolio incorporating each of their $2 billion businesses, Presto Barba, Mach 3, and Fusion 5. But brothers, you need to know Brother Mang beyond his corporate success. Some fun, unique facts for you to enjoy. He is a certified barbecue judge for the Kansas City Barbecue Society and the Memphis in May barbecue competitions. He is an advanced sake sommelier certified with the Japan Sake Education Council, and he is a past campaign chairman and current board member of the United Way of Massachusetts Bay and Merrimack Valley in the Boston area. That's quite an impressive resume on its own, but you need to understand his support of Pi Kappa Alpha to fully recognize what the nominating committee saw. Brother Meng's longtime commitment to Alpha Xi chapter represents the kind of alumni dedication we all wish to display. Brother Meng served as president of the Alpha Xi College Educational and Charitable Foundation from 2003 to 2006 prior to moving to Japan. This may sound like one of those roles that many of us land in for our requisite year or two commitment to our chapter, but this was so much more, as the brothers of Alpha Xi will attest. Alpha Xi had fallen on bad times since the early 90s, and by 2003, the chapter was on the brink of going away. Brother Meng, Brother Gary Munchover, and others led a refounding of Alpha Xi and rebuilt the chapter from 16 men. Since then, Alpha Xi has won SMICE in 13 of the past 14 years. In 2014, under Brother Meng's leadership, the Alpha Xi Foundation raised funds, and in 2006 opened a new house on campus named the Nestor House, after former national president and Alpha Xi brother Dr. William Nestor. Brother Meng currently serves Pi Kappa Alpha as a Foundation Board of Trustees member. No time is more critical for the leadership of our brothers who have led the way in successful change. Brothers, it is my distinct honor to place in a nomination for International Vice President of the Supreme Council from Alpha Xi chapter, Brother John Meng. I now welcome Brother Casey Phillips to nominate our next candidate for International Vice President.
Thank you, Charles. Everything about 2020 has been unconventional, including the way the nominating committee has had to operate this year. Despite challenging circumstances, the opportunity to speak with many great brothers has made me extremely optimistic about our fraternity's future. I'm here to nominate Chris Peterson for International Vice President on the Supreme Council. Brother Chris Peterson has served as an International Vice President since the 2018 International Convention. Professionally, Chris serves as the co-founder and president of Vector Firm, which specializes in sales and marketing consulting as well as training services. In 2016, Chris facilitated the fraternity's current strategic plan. He has previously served as an international educational and recruitment advisor, Sunshine Regional President, Alpha Eta Alumni Association President, chapter advisor to our Eta Phi chapter at Central Florida, as well as his chapter president. He's also served as a previous member of the fraternity's professional staff. Chris currently resides in Orlando, Florida with his wife and daughter. It is my honor and pleasure to officially nominate Brother Chris Peterson for International Vice President on the 2021-2022 Supreme Council. Chris's professional experience, combined with his lifelong fraternity service, will make him a terrific asset to this Supreme Council. I'd now like to turn it over to Chairman of the Nominating Committee, Kevin Verda, to nominate our candidate for International President of Pi Kappa Alpha.
Thank you, Casey. Brothers, it is with great personal pleasure that I nominate Mike Riley of Alpha Omega chapter at Kansas State University as our candidate for International President of Pi Kappa Alpha. It's hard for me to know where to start with this nomination. In so many ways, Mike is such an ideal candidate to lead Pi Kappa Alpha at this moment in time that I could start just about anywhere. I could start with his stellar leadership at Alpha Omega chapter as both an undergraduate and alumnus, or his professional career encompassing banking and law, which led him to becoming Senior Vice President and Personal Trust Team Lead for BOK Financial, before he took a career turn to establish his own private legal practice. Of course, I could also start with his years of volunteer service to PIKE at the international level. I'll cover those more deeply in a moment, but I think perhaps one of the most important things to say about Mike is, and so I'll start here, is that Mike is a mountain climber. Mike has summited 35 peaks of greater than 14,000 feet, including the rather difficult peaks of Mount Whitney, Mount of the Holy Cross, and Mount Kilimanjaro. And yes, of course, he summited Pikes Peak too. Climbing these mountains requires setting a goal to do so, and then putting all the pieces in place to achieve that goal. It requires preparation of both your body and mind. It requires strategy and planning based on deep study. It requires good judgment and careful decision making. And it requires adjustment to the plan or the route based on conditions or unforeseen situations that inevitably appear. And finally, it requires perseverance. At any time between idea and standing on top of the mountain, the whole affair can go sideways in dozens of different ways and to a myriad of different degrees. And yet, with the right preparation, planning, decision-making, adjustment, and perseverance, the goal is achieved. The skills Mike has honed as a mountain climber will serve him well as he leads our fraternity during one of the most challenging times we have faced in our 152-year history. But his experiences are not just that of a mountain climber. Mike is as steeped in PIKE as anyone I know. He is the son and great-nephew of Pikes. His father, Dr. Kenneth Riley, and his great-uncle, Robert Call, both preceding him at Alpha Omega. While a student at Kansas State, Mike led Alpha Omega as SMC, and he served the International Fraternity as chairman of the Constitution Committee at the 1986 convention. I've known Mike for over 33 years after first meeting in the summer of 1987, both of us fresh out of college. We have grown up as Pike volunteers together, our paths continually crossing and our work merging together at times. Over these years, I have admired Mike for his dedication and commitment to our brotherhood. He has been a volunteer in some capacity for every year since 1997, 23 years and counting, and he has volunteered at every level, from Alpha Omega House Corporation president for an amazing 19 years, where he led campaigns that raised over $2 million for the chapter house, to Heartland Regional President, to Whitehorse Real Estate Advisor, to International Vice President on the Supreme Council. Mike Riley is committed to PIKE. His dedication and commitment, while impressive, is only a small part of why Mike is our nominee for president. Through those roles, Mike has developed a deep understanding of Pi Kappa Alpha history, where Pike is today, and where we need to go in the future. Mike has a very sharp mind and is always learning, always taking in new information and synthesizing it with what he already knows to form a better understanding, which he uses to guide his leadership decisions. Mike is a man of conviction, and he stands firm for what he believes in, but he's always open-minded to the possibility that he could be proven wrong. And if he is, he's strong enough to admit it and willing enough to change his mind. Mike is also a bridge builder. He has the gift of being able to make people comfortable in the conversation. He takes a sincere interest in what people have to say, and he uses his great sense of humor to keep the mood even and light. Mike takes very seriously the opportunities we have before us and his role in pursuing them, but he will never take himself too seriously. Mike is a true Pike in every sense of the expression. A devoted husband to his wife Courtney, a loving father to his daughters Ashlyn and Reagan, a selfless civic leader and businessman, an honorable son, and our loyal brother. It is with great pleasure that I nominate Mike Riley as the next international president of Pi Kappa Alpha. Brother Dziatczak, this completes our slate of nominees for the Supreme Council. Thank you for this opportunity to serve.
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you to all the members of the nominating committee for your hard work and dedication to the fraternity. Brothers, as you know, voting for the slate of nominees as presented occurred last month and concluded on December 15th. It is my duty to announce that the results of the vote have been tabulated and that the slate presented has passed with resounding support. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate our new Supreme Council on behalf of the entire fraternity. At this time, it is my distinct honor to pass the gavel to my brother and great friend, Mike Riley. Mike is a great Pike, family man, and professional. His dedication and service to Pi Kappa Alpha sets an example for us all. I know Mike's leadership will bring earnest work, actions based on principle, and hearty laughter. Brothers, please join me in welcoming the new International President of Pi Kappa Alpha, Brother Mike Riley.
Good evening. Thank you to Kevin Verda and the entire nominating committee for their service. I'm extremely flattered and humbled to be nominated and elected as your international president. I accept the office and I embrace the challenges before us. The International President's Badge is a heavy badge, not just because of the diamonds it holds, but of the weight of the office itself and those that have worn the badge before me. The past international presidents are heroes of mine, not just those that I've served with, but all of you. And of note, two that have served as a special source of inspiration to me, Garth Grissom and Mark Anderson. God bless their souls. I've worn a heavy badge before, however. The badge placed upon me in 1984 by my father, Dr. Kenneth Riley, had been worn by him since his initiation by Alpha Omega chapter at Kansas State University in 1956. He is my biggest hero and has been a role model for me my entire life. That badge had been placed on him by my great uncle Robert Call, who had worn it as a 1933 initiate of Beta Gamma chapter at the University of Kansas, who, in the midst of the Great Depression, attended college and obtained a law degree. Then, just as his family and legal career were beginning, World War II began, so he enlisted, becoming a naval intelligence officer, serving in the Pacific, where he would see the Marines raise the American flag on Iwo Jima 75 years ago. After the war, he returned to his family and his legal practice, and would later become a Kansas Supreme Court justice. He was part of the greatest generation, and no doubt the challenges he faced as an undergraduate and a young alumnus were substantial, but his appreciation for the fraternity never wavered. Both my father and great uncle, perhaps unknowingly, followed the motto of a man who, like them, was also from a small town in Kansas, a man who would become the leader of that greatest generation, Dwight D. Eisenhower. And his motto was, gentle in manner, strong in deed. It's how I try to live my life and try to serve Pi Kappa Alpha. And since I'm speaking of people I admire from small towns in Kansas, I want to acknowledge and thank my wife Courtney and daughters Ashlyn and Reagan, who, often through some sacrifice of their own, have allowed me to follow my passion to serve the fraternity. I am appreciative of their love and support, and I am thrilled that they share my love of our alma mater, Kansas State University, and match my love of Pi Kappa Alpha with their love of Chi Omega. Thanks at this time are also due to Mark Dziatczak, who now concludes his term as the International President, and to Shad Williams and Michael McMillan, who conclude terms of outstanding service on the Supreme Council. It's been an honor serving with you. Pi Kappa Alpha is better because of you and your work. Not quite 3 years ago, we celebrated the success and resilience of Pi Kappa Alpha during our first 150 years. We now find ourselves facing a challenge as great as any that we've seen in our history. It's been impossible to turn on the television, open a newspaper, or engage with social media without hearing about the unprecedented times we're all living in right now. Each of us has been touched in some way by the events of 2020. And in light of what we've all experienced in the past year, I think it's time to reimagine what a fraternity can be and can do. As Justin said, we have learned a lot by listening not only to our undergraduates and alumni, but also our campus communities, potential members, and their parents. We don't have all the answers, but we know enough to ask more questions and start planning a brighter future. A future where membership in Pi Kappa Alpha is an essential part of a man's life from college through every stage of adulthood. Where Pi Kappa Alpha is a resource in understanding and helping you deal with some of the most urgent and challenging issues. Where Pi Kappa Alpha better prepares you to be successful in the diverse world awaiting you at graduation and beyond. And finally, where Pi Kappa Alpha can lead the way for all Greeks to be a force for good, improving life on our campuses and in all our communities. I intend to ensure that Pi Kappa Alpha achieves this brighter future. I intend to work so we emerge as a stronger fraternity, a fraternity that delivers the value its undergraduates, alumni, and host institutions need now and in the future, and that we are able to measure that value. We must take this action, not just for action's sake, but so that Pi Kappa Alpha is the leader of positive change. Historically, we have missed such opportunities. No more. No more. Today, we begin the big and bold work necessary to reimagine what Pi Kappa Alpha can stand for. Let us endeavor so that we have a plan by Founders Day of this year that puts these promises into action, working together toward a new statement of purpose that reframes fraternity to build a better future for Pi Kappa Alpha. I believe our fraternity can and must do these things, but the task of reimagining our fraternity is nothing short of a refounding and will require more listening, discussion, and engagement. But let me be clear, we must never lose sight of our founding principle for the establishment of friendship on a firmer and more lasting basis. It is my belief that by being the leaders of positive change, we ensure that Pi Kappa Alpha is the fraternity of choice of young men and welcomed on college campuses throughout North America so that we can continue to foster those friendships for another 153 years. I look forward to working towards this goal with the Supreme Council you just elected, existing undergraduate Vice Presidents George Hoy and Bobby Nelson, reappointed International Legal Counsel Tom Olson, fraternity staff, and all the fellow international officers. But most importantly, I look forward to working with and listening to all of you so that we can bring about real change. For if we work together, our success is fully assured. I had an outstanding undergraduate experience because of Pi Kappa Alpha, and specifically because of the friendships I made within my chapter with men such as Dan, Scott, Kurt, and Ron. And I know I'm not alone. I know many of you have your own Dan, Scott, Kurt, or Ron that made your fraternity experience so worthwhile. Perhaps we've let time get away from us and we haven't touched base with our brothers recently. It has been a challenging time for us all, so it's just as important now as it ever was to rekindle those friendships. To that end, I intend to make some phone calls in the coming days. I hope you will do so as well. Previously, I mentioned the greatest generation. I was speaking of those men and women that came of age during the Great Depression and later served during World War II. It was certainly the greatest generation of the last century. However, I feel strongly that the men who comprise our undergraduate ranks are on the cusp of becoming another great generation. I have seen your desire for equality, inclusivity, and social justice for all members of our society. I have seen your willingness to provide community service and to be charitable. I've seen your respect for others and your concern for our planet. That respect and concern for others must include the respect for our guests and respect for all our members. Make this the generation that ends hazing. Gentlemen, let yours be this century's greatest generation. The success of Pi Kappa Alpha is no accident, but is a result of the time and treasure given by so many. Thank you. Thank you for all that you do. And to all my brothers, I miss you. I miss your fellowship, and I hope our paths cross soon. Phi Kappa Alpha.
Congratulations, Brother Riley, and thank you for those words of inspiration. I know I speak on behalf of all PIKEAs when I say that I look forward to your steady leadership over the next couple of years. Men, thank you for joining us for the 2021 International Convention. As many of our undergraduate brothers are nearing the time to head back to school, I look forward to seeing what all of our PIKEA chapters and brothers will accomplish. Yes, 2021 will still start off a little different, but the things that have made PIKEA great for 153 years continue to hold true today. It will take hard work and sacrifice, perhaps more now than ever before, and that work begins right now with spring recruitment, be it virtual, in person, or somewhere in between. The next great PIKEA chapter leader, chapter president, Dr. Bob Jackson and Matt King, is on your campus today, waiting for you to help show them the value of friendship on a firmer and more lasting basis, and help them realize their life's ambition through Pi Kappa Alpha. Good night, and God bless, in the bonds of Phi Kappa Alpha.
It was down in old Virginia where PIKE began. Its honor and its loyalty first took its noble stand. The unity of this fraternity can weather all storms that may come. PIKE has the men that stand way above the rest. To all fraternity men it represents the best. For the garnet and the gold will never grow old in the heart of every PIKEA. It was down in old Virginia where PIKE began. Its honor and its loyalty first took its noble stand. The unity of this fraternity can weather all storms that may come. PIKEA has the men that stand way above the rest. To all fraternity men it represents the best. For the garnet and the gold will never grow old in the heart of every PIKEA. It was down in old Virginia